I always knew that I wanted a family. Wife, kids, dog. Growing up in India, my mother was sick a lot. She was in hospitals all the time, and so I had to take care of my mother in hospitals and also at home. I remember this one occasion vividly when in the morning, nurses took my mother for a medical procedure. They brought her back, and she was in intense pain. I held her hand, I looked her in the eye, I wiped her tears, and I said she was going to be okay. And my mother smiled. That has left an indelible image in my mind. And I also helped my father in the kitchen. We shared many tender moments. And all of this ingrained in me the idea that children had this incredible capacity to give love and compassion and support their parents. So while I always wanted to have kids, when I moved to Atlanta in 2008, my goal was to have friends, have fun. And so I went to lots and lots of bars with friends. I went to parties that my friends threw, especially for me and also for others. And I signed up for events where I thought I was going to meet people. And so I signed up to go to this hiking and camping event in North Georgia mountains. As luck would have it, the night before, some friends and I were out till 5 o'clock in the morning, hopping from one bar to another. And I almost missed going to the event. And thank goodness I did. I met lots of wonderful people who are very good friends now. I'm having a good time talking with them. I'm clicking with people, making lots of jokes. People are responding to me. I'm like, woohoo, I've got this covered. Now, on the side, I notice a good-looking girl who's paying no attention to me or my shenanigans. So, of course, I make my way to her, and I start to say some silly thing or another, and she pays no attention to me. So I left her alone, but I didn't give up. I kept going back to her again and again, changing my strategy, telling jokes of different kind, and after a while, she started responding. Her name was Christy, and she started laughing and actually coming to me for conversations as well. That evening and the next morning and next afternoon, while we were camping and hiking, we had lots and lots of conversations. We laughed a lot, and I realized that she was special. She was special not only because she was very good-looking, very beautiful, but also because she put people ahead of her. She cared about minority groups, she cared about animals, and she volunteered a lot. Over the next week or so, we got to know each other really well. On some days, we exchanged more than 50 emails. The early romance is a wonderful feeling, right? Just about 3 weeks into our first date, I got a call from her. She said, we need to talk. And you know, when a girl that you've been dating only short periods says you need to talk, you know this is going to be serious. And so she starts to tell me that she was not going to be able to carry a baby to term because her uterine linings were too thin. And she said that if this is going to be a problem for you, you need to tell me now because I don't want to get crushed later. At this time, we have confessed our love to each other. I know she's the one. And so despite all the uncertainty, I said to her, I think science can help us here. Let's see if we can do something here. So we read up everything that we could find, books, literature, internet, and we found out that through IVF, this was a possibility that we could have biological children. Now, there's a lot of confusion about these things. So gestational carriers are those that carry the baby, but they are not biologically related to the baby. Surrogates, on the other hand, contribute an egg, and they are biologically related to the baby. So we knew that we needed a gestational carrier, and we thought this should be easy to find it. She was 36, I was 37. We felt like spring chickens, and we didn't have a care in the world. And for the next several years, we didn't think anything about this. 2012, she's just under 40, I'm just under 41. We sought a specialist in Atlanta, a fertility specialist. And The first thing that the specialist wrote on the report was AMA, Advanced Maternal Age. So, 40 is the new 30, right? Wrong. You try telling a beautiful woman who's just about 40 that she's advanced age and see how that goes. The specialist gave us a lot of literature and said our chances of conceiving a biological child were low and decreasing on a daily basis. So we needed to start now. We read up all the literature she gave. We again researched online, and we found that the process of IVF and gestational carriership in the US could cost easily $100,000 and more. We didn't have that money. So we were trying to figure out what our choices were. I found out that there were clinics in India that were very viable, and they cost only $15,000. So we made 2 trips to India. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful at each time. And every time the doctor from India would call us, we felt devastated. But we decided to give up on the India option because we were not sure if they were using state-of-the-art then. And we thought maybe we would take our chances in the US, but we didn't know how. While all of this was happening, relatives and friends in US and India would ask all kinds of invasive questions and give us suggestions. So one of them was, so do you have to do anything to the woman who carries your child? And why did you choose a Muslim woman to carry your child? And if God wanted you to have children, then none of this would be an issue. And so maybe, this is not for you. And these kinds of comments and the lack of compassion that people showed hurt a lot. And speaking of compassion, actually, Thanksgiving of 2012 was one of the most important days and nights of our life. Christy and I hosted. We had lots of friends and relatives. And around midnight, when people left, my wife's brother and his wife, Dana, came to us. And they said that they were aware of our struggles. They knew that we wanted to have children. And they said that they could not imagine better parents than us. Dana said that she was willing to be our gestational carrier without any expectation of any financial compensation. And so we felt that we saw light, we saw possibility, but we also realized that she was family. And what if something happened to her? We were pulled in so many different directions, but of course we accepted her offer. For the next couple of months, all of us had invasive tests, procedures, psychological evaluations. The ladies underwent a number of painful procedures, but we had viable embryos that we could use. And we had 5 viable embryos, and with Dana's concurrence, we put all 5 embryos in. Well, the initial test showed very encouraging results. Hormone numbers were showing very significant growth. And Valentine's Day 2013, I can never forget that day, was our first ultrasound. And so we were excited, we were nervous, we were worried. And once we reached the clinic, 5 of us, Dana, Christy, me, a nurse, and a specialist, we were in a very small room. And I was positioned appropriately so I could look only at the screen. And the doctor starts, they put the gel and starts to move his wand around, and very quickly he found the first embryo. And he said, yeah, there's one. And he calls it baby A. Baby A is tiny, 1 centimeter, less than 1 centimeter, has a robust heartbeat. We feel good. He's still messing around. And he says, I see one more. Calls the baby. We didn't know the gender then. Baby B. Baby B is also tinier than 1 centimeter and has a robust heartbeat. And he's still doing this. And then Christy and I are looking at each other, goodness, is there any more stuff here? So he's doing this. And he says, okay, finally done, no more. We're like, shh. September 15th of 2013, Dana was taken to operating room number 1 for a C-section. Parents, grandparents, other relatives are sitting outside. We're hoping for the good news. At 11:53 a.m., we heard an announcement, code blue in OR1. So we looked at each other and we didn't know what to think. We wondered if it was the babies or Dana. And I thought to myself, this couldn't be happening after all that we have gone through. This is not fair. Well, after what seemed like ages, a nurse came out and told us that the babies were okay. And our hearts started to race. And she said, you can go have a look at the babies, and Dana's okay too. She had swallowed fluid during the surgery, and the fluid had gone to her lungs. And she had to be taken care of immediately. They had 10 minutes to take care of that. Fortunately, all the throngs of doctors and nurses that we saw running were going for that. So she was fine. We went to see our kids. We held them in our hands. And later that evening, we went to see Dana, who was worried about the kids more so than about her. And she said she was okay, but she was more worried about the kids. And she said, are they okay? And we said they were okay. Now our kids are 5 years old. They say, love you a lot. They give hugs and sweet kisses. And they try to help in the kitchen. Not a day goes by that I'm not reminded of the incredible capacity of children to love us. And this story is dedicated to Dana, without whom it wouldn't be possible. Thank you.